Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you so much for being with us today, allowing us to be a little bit part of your day. Canning is a activity that was a regular thing years and decades ago, and now it's, I don't know, has it faded away? Is it coming back? What
I think it's like faded away, but people are finding interest in it again. And it's becoming like, I don't know, like sourdough, you know? It's becoming like a thing.
Ebbs and flows?
Ebbs and flows, yeah. And I think a lot of people could use canning advice, help, I don't know, direction. So, with that being said,
people often choose not to can because, I've heard it's difficult, or I've heard horror stories about bad things happening to either the device that they are using, or the mechanisms in which, or the food in which they're canning.
Right. And so that's absolutely correct. And they also think that it's a lot of work, and it can be work.
It's not worth it. I can just go to the store.
Right. It can be work, but it also depends on what you're canning. So when we talk about things that are actually easy to can, I'm going to refer to kind of two different categories. One is like things that are super simple to can and don't require a lot of extra labor, and then ones that are easy to can because they're just kind of foolproof, but they might require a little bit more time, a little bit more work. So a lot of people, for some reason, think that jam is easy to can. Jam is easy to can.
Jam it up.
And I thought this too, but it's not that it's hard. It's just that you really have to know what you're doing. A lot of these recipes don't call for enough pectin, so then your jam doesn't set.
Pomona universal pectin. Also, with the jam, with any of these canning recipes, this is a time-sensitive thing. It's got to be done in a boom, boom, boom manner. It's not like, I'll do a little bit now, go out and mow the grass and finish it this afternoon.
Yeah, except for like maybe pasta sauce or something that you have to cook down.
For 98% of the items.
So anyway, let's talking about jam. It does take a little bit of finessing, if you will, but using the Pomona universal pectin is helpful, and also just making sure you have some patience, because sometimes you do have to cook stuff to a certain temperature, etc. And that's what makes it a little bit more complicated. Now, if you want something super easy...
What's the difference between jam and jelly?
They're the same, but jelly usually has fruit chunks in it.
Okay. And which one can be made just from juice alone?
That's jelly. No, I'm sorry. Jam has fruit chunks. Jelly does not.
And you can go get a bottle of juice basically from the grocery store and turn it into jam.
You can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can make like grape jelly, guava jelly.
Any flavor you want.
Pineapple.
You got to watch the sugar, right? Or is that a concern?
You have to use a certain amount.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, some things that are really, really simple to can and don't typically take a lot of effort is whole fruit. Now, if it's whole fruit, you do have to peel. So like we used to can a lot of peaches. You have to peel the peaches, but that's pretty simple to do. You can just do like a little blanching method where you put them in hot water and put them in an ice bucket or ice bath, and then they peel pretty easy.
And a peeler will also with time. Yeah. Now with all of these, it's either half pint, or quart. That's about the size in which you don't can anything in a half gallon.
No, half gallon. The only thing you can can is grape juice and apple juice.
I believe so.
Yeah. So, so let's just stick here.
The salsa.
So I want to talk about things that are simpler to can. So whole fruit is one, or like fruit chunks, whatever, and that includes also tomatoes. So if you're trying to do like stewed tomatoes, pretty simple. Again, it's just like the peeling. It doesn't require a lot of cooking process. This is the stuff that you can just can. I don't want to say quickly, but it's a little bit less labor intensive than other things.
But with tomatoes, you got to add some lemon juice or acidity to that.
Yeah, but that's not like difficult.
No, it's not difficult.
Talking about the process here.
Right, yeah.
And then anything pickled, but cucumber pickles, for the most part, pretty simple. You just usually cook it a little bit, add the vinegar, whatever spices, the brine, including like pickled peppers, we did pickled Swiss chard.
Swiss chard stems.
That was weird.
You can do pickled asparagus. Yeah. You can do pickled zucchini. You can do
dilly beans.
You can do corn salsa.
Yeah, so we'll get to salsa.
Yeah.
But anything pickled, that is pretty simple for the most part. But pickled cucumbers, it's not that it's complicated, but you have to have the right cucumbers. You need to work very quickly, otherwise they can turn mushy.
The right cucumbers, meaning that the title encapsulates pickling cucumbers, not market more or any other type of variety. Pickling cucumbers, because they are a more denser material in the cucumber itself to be able to prolong the crispness in the jar during the heat.
Right, and that's why you want to work quickly, because you don't want to overcook them, because that's what makes them mushy. Nobody likes mushy cucumbers. Gross. Okay, so we have cucumbers, whole fruit. Now, things like salsa and pasta sauce kind of go hand in hand. They take a little bit more work because you have to do some chopping, or you have to do some straining, or you have to do some sort of like breaking down preparation. But it does give you good results, especially your own homemade salsa. Very delicious, and you can control the heat. You can kind of control
the heat, meaning the spice level.
Yeah. You can control, like, maybe you don't want as much onion in there, or you don't want as much pepper or whatever. That's something that you can customize to what you want.
While still following the precise recipe for the ingredients that is required to make it safe.
Right. You don't want to add extra onion, but you can, like, say that you're like, I want to add half the amount of onion. You can do that. It's not going to mess with the safety of the canned product. Pasta sauce, this is something that does sometimes take a while to cook down, and that can be...
You got a quick way with the slow cooker.
It's not quick. It's just less labor intensive. So what you
don't burn in the bottom of the pot. Yeah.
You would just take your slow cooker, put your pasta sauce in there, and then you want to make the lid go ajar. So whether you take like wood dowels or something, because you want the heat, like the moisture to escape. So you can do that, or you can just leave it on the stove and check it periodically. I work from home now, so I did this a couple of years ago, and I would just check it, every time I took a little break, whatever, kept it on low, and stirred it. And then Joey works from home too, so he would stir it too. That is kind of convenient. And then we have, I talked about salsa. Relish can be more timely, and you have to chop things, but if you have a food processor, that'll cut down on the chopping time. But the timely part is sometimes you have to let this stuff sit in like salt water overnight or for a few hours.
In a brine itself.
In a brine, and then you do strain it and things like that. So it's not like, when I say timely, it's not like actual working time, it's just like waiting time, basically. So that is something that you might enjoy. There's a lot of different relishes these days, and
cucumber relish, zucchini relish, Jerusalem artichoke relish.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of more, but yeah. And then the salsa, I mean, you can have anything from mango salsa, peach salsa, pineapple salsa. There's a lot of corn salsa, and it's a salsa you are adding either like lime or lemon juice, vinegar, whatever to it, because that helps.
Onion relish, corn relish, cranberry orange relish, green tomato relish, hot pepper relish, sweet pickle relish. Fill in the blank.
All the relish. So then there's chutney.
What is that?
Chutney is almost like a fruit salsa, but it's not savory. It's more sweet. It's like chopped fruits. So we made a pear chutney that I think had like cranberries in it or something. And a lot of people put them on different meats, especially like pork or ham.
So instead of a barbecue sauce, you would put this in substitute.
It's not a sauce.
Instead of using a topping like a barbecue sauce, some people would choose a chutney instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is easy to make, but it does require chopping. So it really depends. Like, do you want to chop stuff or not?
Well, they have so many new tools and devices for the kitchen where they will.
I have like that slam chop.
The slam chop, yeah. So, and it gives you universal. Some of it does require a little more strength to make it happen, but it goes quickly if you have the muscle to do such, and it's all uniformed.
Right. And I think that some of these are definitely worth it because it's stuff that you can. If you wanted to give the stuff as gifts, if you wanted to...
Once you figure out how good it is, you don't give it away.
you want something that you can use to enhance, your meals. A lot of people are nowadays like foodies and trying to enjoy things, different foods on a different level. And this is one of those things. Learning how to can, doing the process is worth it because you have something for the future. You have something on your shelves. You can plan meals around it. You could even, hey, I have to bring a side dish. What can I bring? And you can bring your own salsa. You could do like a salsa flight. You could have corn salsa, peach salsa, mango salsa. Impress your friends. You don't even impress your friends, but it does give you, there's been times where I've gone to potlucks at work when I was like, I don't know what to bring, and then I brought something I can, and people are like, this is the best salsa I've had in my life, and blah, blah, blah. So,
to add to the list, mustard.
Oh, yeah, mustard.
Mustard is a very easy condiment to make. Briefly, what does that consist of?
Mustard seeds and vinegar.
And you can add whatever type, like cranberry mustard or spicy mustard or beer mustard. You can
cherry,
any combination that doesn't even exist in the marketplace.
Right. You want to follow a recipe, but you can find recipes. And I actually took a mustard class through the Milwaukee Rec Department, and it was cool because I didn't know how easy mustard was to make, and it's super easy, and it's like foolproof.
Well, and
that you want to do in the 4 ounce jars.
The very small ones.
Yeah.
What you would typically use on, let's say, a hot dog out of a bottle of mustard, you would use a fraction of that with the homemade stuff because it is so much more flavorful and enriched. Not so much like burn your mouth up, but there's so much more flavor to it compared to what's in the yellow bottle that you buy off the shelf. Quickly, with all of these that you've just listed, do these have to be water bath, pressure can, or could you do a refrigerated version?
So, like, you can do some refrigerated versions, like refrigerator pickles, salsa, pasta sauce. I think any of these you could probably do refrigerated, except for maybe, I'm not really sure about the relish of the chutney. But
there is an option for some of those to do it in the refrigerator, not needing up hot and water and all that.
Some places to find recipes.
Okay.
One is freshpreserving.com. They have a lot of good recipes. The National Center for Home Food Preservation has like the process. They have some recipes, but they'll give you an idea of like you might need X amount of tomatoes to make X amount of sauce, and that's helpful, especially if you're growing things or if you're going to the farmer's market. And then Better Homes and Gardens has good information, and there's a master canner out of California, and it's SB Canning, like Santa Barbara Canning.com.
All righty. Well, summer, Holly, is in full swing, and those nasty Japanese beetles are in your yard, your backyard, your front yard, wreaking havoc on your vegetation.
If you're looking to control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the target pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, you know it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees. I see this on social media that, people are having problems with Japanese beetles. Beetle Gone is the answer. BeetleGone.com. It works, and it's the only product out there that is beneficial, that is safe around beneficial insects such as ladybugs, butterflies, and bees, and has no water toxicity. BeetleGone.com. It will work. BeetleGone.com.